you're taking your medication, you're seeing your doctor. It's really nice every once in a while to have a little treat. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to have some homemade banana bread. Now with baking, more so than regular cooking, baking is a little bit more precise. So you have to be a little bit more careful with your measurements. So this is one of those times when you really want to step into that pre-measure, put it in a little dish, and have it set aside just in case you're unsteady with your hands or your arms, you have a little shake, maybe you're using only one arm, that you have the opportunity to mess up and do it again. However, one of the very first things we're going to do with banana bread, and this is a step I learned from Julia Cullen Davis from America's Test Kitchen, is we're going to separate the banana from the juice. Now, I think one of the best ways to get bananas just perfect for banana bread is have them frozen. So if you don't have some bananas in the freezer that are just dark black, they kind of look a little gross. Let me grab my paper towel. They kind of look a little gross. However, that is really when bananas are perfect for banana bread. They're nice and soft, they're going to be amazingly sweet, and they're going to give up a bunch of this intense banana flavor. Now in the past, on my own banana bread recipe, I would either use this juice and my bread would be very dense, very heavy, a little doughy, so I threw it out. Well then I realized that my banana bread didn't have a whole lot of banana flavor. So this tip from America's Test Kitchen is, I know we're adding a step which we usually don't want to do, but this is totally worth the while. I left my bananas in a strainer overnight, and you can actually see the bananas are kind of slimy. But that's perfect, that's really what we want. But we also ended up with a cupful of this juice that's separated from the banana. I'm going to put it in a saucepan on my stovetop on medium heat, and I'm going to reduce it until it just becomes about 2 tablespoons of this nice intense syrup. And while that's happening, I'm going to pre-measure all my ingredients and get ready to assemble. Alright, the banana fluid is on the stove, it's reducing down. This kitchen already just is so intense with that banana flavor. So while that's finishing up there, I'm going to start kind of combining my ingredients. Now the best part about this is that your dry ingredients start off and they go in together, and your wet ingredients are separate. And again, everything is pre-measured. I've double checked to make sure that my ingredients and my measurements are correct. So at this point I can kind of relax and just get it into my bowl. Now, if you don't have a sifter, which is one of these, it just makes sure that all the lumps are out, you can use any kind of a screen type of strainer. That'll be just the same thing. You just make sure that it gets through there, and that just gets the lumps out. Now this is 1 3/4 cups of flour right in there. I missed a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just going to start this through. This is a 1/4 cup of white sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's okay because we are reducing this banana down. And as that is reducing, it's also getting very, very sweet. So we only need a little bit of sugar to get this going. All right, I have a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, right there, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Wants to stick. There we go. All right, now I'm putting it in here before I strain it or sift it, and that's going to help this all incorporate and mix together. So while I'm doing that, I also have a 1 stick or 1/4 pound of softened or room temperature butter. I use real butter, no salted, just regular butter. If you cannot use butter, use some kind of a butter substitute, margarine, preferably something that doesn't have heavy hydrogenated oil. Can't even say it. Just make sure it's really good and healthy. If you can't use regular butter, you have to use something that's a little less fattening. Just step it back a little bit and use something similar. Okay? So, what we have, grab my paper towel. Now, everything has been sifted together, and I have my 1/4 pound, 1 stick of butter. It's nice and soft. I'm going to drop that right in. Now, I'm going to use my blender. If you have a countertop mixer, which I do, it makes this a lot easier. However, they are a little bit expensive and not everybody has one. This will work just as fine. However, be a little careful. You don't want to flour your entire kitchen, which I've done many, many times. I'm really kind of surprised I don't have a handprint right now. So we're just going to get this down in there and turn it on slow, just like that. All right, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to grab my just a nice dish towel, wrap it over the top. We're just going to break the butter up until it just becomes about the size of peas or about the texture of cornmeal. Maybe the texture of coffee grounds. And that's just going to take a second. Okay. I'm going to give this a little bit of a shake. Mix it up in there and finish this up. It really does help if you have it on low. Alright, that's pretty good. Lucky for me, since I'm recording this, I made a lot less mess than I usually do. So, just so you realize that just about everybody who does this, especially if you don't have a tabletop mixture, and I've got it on my shirt. There we go. That never happened. You saw nothing. Okay. Just clean up my mess here. Remember, the wet picks up the dry. Take care of that right now. All right, now that all my dry ingredients are together, incorporated really good, the butter is breaking down, I'm going to turn my banana juice off and let that start to cool. And I'll show you that in a minute. I want that to cool off just a minute. I don't want to pour that hot liquid in here. So we're going to set this aside. We have between 4 and 5 really soft bananas. Now, you can either put them in the freezer, get them nice and slimy is what they kind of look like. They kind of look disgusting. If you can't do that, I've also heard that you can put them in the microwave for a few minutes, or for a few seconds, which is like 5 to 10 seconds. And that'll help draw all the liquid out as well. I think it's best to have them in the freezer. What I usually do is whatever I have left over from my smoothies, if I don't have smoothies fast enough and my bananas start to go bad, I toss it into a freezer bag and into the freezer. I get 4 or 5 nice bananas. It's time to make banana bread. All right, I have 2 eggs. slightly beaten. We're going to just put that right in there. All right, that is just nice. And you can use an egg substitute if you have any allergies or issues with eggs. You can use beaters or whatever else you need, or whatever else you normally use in your kitchen. I have a teaspoon of vanilla, and I have a teaspoon of lemon zest. Now this is really important. A little bit of citrus goes a long way in baking like this. It helps with keeping the flavor really good and fresh, and it also helps with the leavening, making sure that you get a nice fluffy bread. So we're just going to mix this up. So I want everything to incorporate really evenly. So the only way to do that is to mix it together and then combine it at the end. So this is actually mixed up pretty good. I'm going to add the banana juice last because I want that to cool off just a little bit more. All right, that's done. Right into my dried mixture. I told you it doesn't look really appetizing now, but wait, it gets better. Much, much better. Okay. I'm going to use a fork on this. If you have a desktop or a tabletop mixer, you can use that on low speed. You do not want to overmix this. I'm going to use a fork because I'm just going to fold it in. And if you've ever seen a cooking show, they go from the outside to the center, they turn their bowl. That is a great way to do it. Using your fork, just make sure that you don't pack it down. All right, the banana juice from a cup to about 3.5 tablespoons, about 3 tablespoons. Nice and thick. This is like banana gold right here. America's Test Kitchen, this one's for you. It made a huge difference in my recipe, and you are going to love making it part of yours as well. Okay, so we're adding this final ingredients right in, and we're going to finish mixing this up. Now, I'm going to switch to a spatula, because any second now, I have to move this into my pan. Now my stove has been preheated to 350. If you haven't done it yet, turn it on because it's going to be ready to go in there in just a moment. So let's get this finished mixing up here. This is the time that most people add nuts or dried fruit or anything like that. This is the time you want to add that in. However, we're just going to make regular plain banana bread. This is just perfect. Just the way we want it right there. All right, this is ready to go into the pan. Put it off to the side. I have my pan here, an old bread pan. It's my favorite. I just love it. Now this is the wrapper from my butter. What I'm going to do, instead of taking more butter, there's plenty right here. I'm just going to take my wrapper and rub the inside of the pan down. Just get a nice little layer of butter on the bottom and on the sides. Make sure you get down into the corners. Okay, and that, I'll stir up right there. So we're not wasting anything, using it all. Love that. Now the batter goes right into the pan. Alright, this is perfect. Not real thin, nice thick dough. Right in there. Scrape it all out. Alright, that's going to go in the sink. I'm going to spread it out all the way around in my pan. Scrape off my scraper. Clean fingers. I tell you what, if you have any issues with your hands being steady, as you can see I have a little bit of a shake there. Having clean hands in the kitchen, it's a cook's best tool. And if you have a hard time gripping, if you can use your hand, put the utensil down, use your hand. All right, there's one final ingredient I'm gonna get right now. And that, we are just going to sprinkle on top some raw sugar. This is unprocessed sugar. It's nice and has a caramely flavor to it. It's very, very good. And we're just going to sprinkle it right on top. As that bakes, get a nice little sugar crust. The timer just went off. It's been 50 minutes. It's 5-0. And we're going to give it a check. I want to show you exactly how we're going to do it. It smells amazing. It's one of the best parts about doing a little baking every once in a while. Besides digging into it, it's the amazing smell. Grab a toothpick. You can use the flat end so you can see it a little bit better. You're going to put it into the thickest part of the bread and pull it out. And it comes out dirty. It ain't done. So, we're going to put it back into the oven about another 10 minutes. Now, because my oven's a little funky on the heat, I'm going to tell you what I did. I moved my bottom rack to the middle of the oven and my top rack to the top and put a cookie sheet on the top. And that's going to help my oven kind of maintain its temperature while it's baking. You want it to bake relatively evenly while you're going. So if your oven is similar to mine and it's not very reliable, that's a little trick you can pull to kind of help regulate your temperature and keep it from fluctuating too much. We're going to let this go for another 10 to 15 minutes and it should be just perfect. See you back. Okay, the bread is still warm to the touch, but obviously not crazy hot. So what we want to do to get this out without sticking, is take your spatula, put it in the pan, and give it a little bit of a push. And go all the way around your pan, just giving it a little bit of a kind of a wedge in there. And what that is doing is breaking anything out that may have stuck either to the sides or to the bottom. So, voila. We had to move our butcher block in a little bit so you guys could see without getting stuck in the in the sun. Got a lot of sun coming down here. Look how beautiful this is. That nice crust on the top. The smell is amazing. No, this is my absolute favorite time. The smell is so amazing. Still a little warm. It's so good. It's not too heavy because we got rid of some of that moisture, and the banana flavor is delicious. You're gonna love this. This is a great reward for living healthy and taking care of yourself. Yum. See you in the kitchen.